Hello and welcome to another jungle video, and in this one we are going over the best junglers for 11.6 onward. Yes, it has already been a month of those experience nerfs. I don't think it really impacted us too much if we were, one of those junglers who could gank and farm, but we have had some experience reinfused into the gromp. That means cycling that camp will be juicy fresh for your experience gains, and along with some light touches to Hecarim, Udyr, Karthus over that period, in addition to the mega buffs to Volibear and changes to Xin, it's going to be interesting to see how the jungle changes play out in the meta. So as always, please do consider leaving a like, subscribing, and seeing the Patreon for a nice infographic representation of these lists, and the best junglers coming up after this message from Rost.
I'm back to tell you that U.GG has all new profiles, all new ways for you to track your progress and make sure you know who to ban and what to build. They are also the first and only ones to track your LP per game. No other profile has this. Now the site with the best data for builds and tier lists also has the best data for profiles. Search your vampiric name on U.GG and see not just your LP gains and losses, but also your division rank ups and promo series wins and tragedies. If you want to show off your Zyra jungle skills, feel free to pin that at the top of your history and select your chosen splash art in the background when you create your free account. My favorite feature is that I can pin my own statistics to monitor the win rates. For all your statistics, data, and profile needs, head to U.GG at the link in the description below.
And now let us begin with the S tier page. Unfortunately, Rost isn't on it, but Hecarim still sits at the top because, nerfing the later levels of that Q damage, that's not gonna do much. Yes, it punishes the full tank turbo chem tank mega speed horse build, but the problem is, he's not really killing me from the Q, he's killing me from everything else. However, because he spams that ability, of course, for his DPS, you will notice a win rate dip, which happened. The thing is, he was so strong with the turbo chem tank build that rather than just be free low LP, he's just really strong. And stronger than most. You can look at the pick rates, you can look at the win rates, you can look at the ban rates. This champion is not okay, still isn't okay, and hasn't been okay for quite a long time. Yes, he is beatable, but so often and more often than not, he doesn't feel like he actually is. Quick for rotations, game-changing ultimate, nice new particles, really high-quality high noon skins. If there was a jungler to summarize the last 12 months, you're gonna put Graves and you're gonna put Hecarim. Now next up we do have Udyr. They nerfed his base R damage as well, which was the problem. He was becoming unholy tanky, unholy fast, and he was doing unholy damage. By nerfing the base damages on these builds, yeah, they have to build damage to do damage. The thing is, they're still doing enough to kill people while being insanely difficult to kite and very difficult to kill. Now, while Hecarim has no issue diving back lines and accessing any part of the teamfight he wants, Udyr is limited by that due to his obscene design. And that's why he's getting a rework, because when he's overstatted, it's just so frustrating to deal with, I guess is the word. He has no issue fast clearing, he has no issue combating many junglers, he gets full tanky, you can throw in the Lich Bane, that Grump experience is only going to help him later on as well. So even though the later damage spikes on Udyr's R, on Hecarim's Q have been nerfed, and yes, that does impact the later stages of the game, it still really isn't enough to take these two out of the top spots. Next up we have Elise, and yeah, she was nerfed as well, except Elise just thrives on reduced camp experience. However, when you rebuff the Grump, that's the one edge camp that she can really rinse really quickly. Krugs can be an issue, Raptors can be an issue, and those were nerfed. But the experience was given back to the Grump, which means Elise, with those early ganks, the tower dives, the pressure, the assassin potential, and her unparalleled levels of map control with form switching, basically means when she's not doing that, she's taking her Grump, she's taking her Blue, her Wolves, and when she eventually gets to those Krugs and Raptors, she's already far enough ahead that the AP Snowball Queen is ready to take over. And some mains of their champions get quite defensive when you say anything. The Shaco mains tend to be the most delusional. I'm sorry, most of you are lovely people. I'm sure you are wonderful in real life, but you cannot continuously say over like 2 years that the champion is bad when the win rates are good, when it really wasn't stopping you from reaching diamond whatsoever. The only people that would have problems were in higher elo. However, Shaco did have issues clearing chickens. He didn't have the best time in Season 11. I did make a video on the gameplay channel discussing one of the best in the world at this and how he managed to navigate Shaco to like 700 LP. However, Riot agreed that there was an issue, nerfed AP Shaco support, gave bonus damage to boxes, and all of a sudden a champion that thrives on cheese, irritation, lack of vision control, yeah, he's pretty damn good at the moment. If you're looking to climb, you can exploit bad positioning, you can exploit unique ganking angles, you can clear much better, you can thrive on ADC's idiocy. And next up, Kha'Zix is also pretty good. I don't know what to tell you, but so many people complain about their champions in high elo not being able to function, but they forget they're at the top 0.001%. And for the rest of the game, the champion is pretty damn strong. And what's absolutely incredible about Kha'Zix is the fact that you get a built-in free R evolve with the Duskblade. evolve your Q, take Dark Harvest, all of a sudden you're snowballing with 10 to 15 souls, it's very easy to kill one person, you get the Duskblade passive proc, which is like your R-Evolve because you want to reset your Unseen Threat so that next auto does nuclear amounts of damage, and then, you repeat the process all while having an evolved Q and an evolved W at level 11. Next up we have Fiddlesticks. Not much to say on this champion because I love the design, I love the rework. The niche playstyle really is just so fantastic to watch, to learn, the unique clearing patterns, and the fact that you can really play your own game. Sequence, use your ult, get those crabs, and if you're really good at pathing, it's very easy to avoid unnatural matchups, and against things like the Kha'Zix, you can place your effigy, which, removes the Unseen Threat passive. That and the fact that you just want to do your own thing so you can get to the dragons, you can get those mid-game ults, you can get those late-game ults. You really control the nature of the win condition, provided you are good at not totally ignoring your lanes in the early 15 minutes. With Sunfire buffs, we have Nunu buffs. Never really out of the meta, always really strong. However, extra damage added to the natural tankiness and sustain of this particular champion duo. Yeah, I don't think they're complaining that much. Control the rivers once more, control the dragons once more, counter jungle again, and when you are in the middle of teamfights, amping your passive to your carries, that little bit of damage not only helps with the clear, but also with annihilating those enemies that thought they might be able to escape. And honestly, finally on this particular page is Rek'Sai. The win rate is dipping, the presence is dipping, and I'm not entirely sold on the S tier ranking at this point. I think Evelyn has a good argument for being in here as well. But then I shook out of it and realized if you pilot Rek'Sai the way you pilot Elise, you're gonna basically have the same kind of win conditions, and the fact that itemization is very good on Rek'Sai at the moment. Sure, the Sterix have been nerfed and such, but that really doesn't stop the build path, it doesn't stop the serrated Dirk infusion, and it doesn't stop the fact that if you're against a Rengar or Evelyn, you can actually deal with them. Now onto the A tier page. Karthus has dominated on and off for multiple years at this point, usually only controlled by right nerfs to his systemic kit, and then, only for them to rebuff it later on. Thoroughly enjoying the Liandry's build path, which I think got buffed. I kind of feel really good with it on Zyra. But for Karthus specifically, they are nerfing his Q damage. Remember, he does bonus damage to ISO targets, and on the face of it doesn't look like a lot of numbers, but then you realize if you practice your Karthus full clear, that you spam that a hell of a lot all the time. All the time you're spamming Q, and so that damage really amounts to something greater. Now in high elo, when they're really good at clearing and efficient with it, what this will do is slow you down enough that you lose tempo, you lose advantages over enemy junglers, and thus your win rate goes down. In more your diamond level games, that's not going to be as punished because no one's really clearing that efficiently. So overall, his presence is down, his win rate is down, he is not as strong as he was. I think we need to figure out just a new best build path with the changes to Liandry's and Luden's. But no doubt that clear damage has been reduced, his ability to sort of rinse it to that degree has been reduced, but he's still Karthus, he still has the ultimate, and he still can do things while he's in base. Next up we have Evelyn. I already mentioned her on the previous page. One of those champions that has a good presence, good win rate, high ban rate just because of the cheese factor, and honestly the experience nerfs did hit her because she loves to farm for level 6, and doesn't really direct the ganking like other junglers. She simply has to play off the counter ganks, off pathing, using the big question mark when she becomes invisible. No doubt she can take over games, but if teams, especially in lower elos, become death comps, they just sit as 5 and do nothing, it's much more difficult to execute her win conditions. She's still good for climbing, she still has her effect in solo queue, there are just limitations to what you can do, so you have to understand the ins and outs of the champion and how you actually need to play in order to win. Skarner is still doing his stuff. When you have fast things running around like Udyrs and Hekrims, it's nice to have something with ridiculous amounts of CC and something that can lock them down and drag them to your team for additional CC and damage. That, and if you go Q max, you're just farming faster than most junglers anyway because percentage damage. This makes him a great thing for flex 5s, for pro play, for clash, and while you might think this isn't typically as good in solo queue, the fact that you can instantaneously punish enemy champions or force them to go QSS, thus delaying co-itemization, this is a huge thing for your team if you know how to select the right target. And of course, if you know how to farm quickly and which junglers you can 1v1 and just shove out of their jungle. Hello Doctor, welcome back. Yes, you are getting reworked very soon, but you've been in a spicy spot for a while. Really good farming, really good scaling, really good unkillable nature, nice slow spam with that cleaver toss, and honestly, just in a really good, solid spot. I don't think he's the best. I do think he has some stipulations of when he can work. However, if he doesn't get punished and you get to that unkillable phase and you know how to disrupt and just, walk into people and go as you please, really still a great jungler to play. And next we have my main Volibear, looking very good actually. A lot of people were asking me beforehand, what do you think about these buffs? And I was being a little bit reserved because I saw the effects on Taliyah, on Shaka with the same kinds of changes, Except this time, not only do we get a huge buff to the base damage on E for all your monsters, we also get the return healing, which means not only are we sustaining, we're also farming faster. And the thing is, for a snowballing champion, that doesn't really super scale because we need the tank accessibility. That's a separate issue. Having the ability to beat a lot of champions 1v1, to control rivers, to control fights, to cycle that grunt for added experience, means you can snowball much better now, get onto the map sooner, look for invades sooner, and all of that adds into your ability to actually snowball those advantages early. I still think there are some problems in the fact that we're kind of strung to the turbo cam tank. Do you 100% need it? No, you can go divine, but for higher elo, you just have to have it because how else do you get to the backlines? Next we have Olaf. I'm going to keep this short and sweet because we've covered him a lot recently. Not in the strong spot he used to be, but really still good into CC tanks, CC comms. If you're able to farm well, get that camp experience from the Grump again, and actually be able to, run into people's faces and kill them because you're ahead, you're good to go. Just be proactive, be aggressive. You just can't afford to sit around and do nothing. Next up, we have Virkayu, really a complicated champion in terms of knowing everyone else, but his own mechanics not really being difficult. That's just the context around the difficulty. As I've said before, super snowball reliant, super snowball capable, and you know what? Even if you don't have the best game, if you have a good fight where you can get those resets, yeah, you can just get fed in an instant. It's really powerful, potent, build path is nice, you do a lot of damage, and you can totally control fights and games with Virkayu. And finally, we have Kanye. Yes, he can go blue. Yes, he can go red. And yes, Warwick's win rate is rising and looking very good. So honorary mention for the hybrid Chimera enjoyers. But he still has a lot of issues with the inherent kit and his playstyle. Just keep a note on the performance though, it is looking good. But otherwise, Kane takes this last spot because of the versatility and being able to go assassin, fighter, disruptor, killer, and the fact that they buffed farm experience. So now, once again, you can rinse a little better and begin to take over with your form of choice. And considering Ross did the promo in this video, I'm gonna say that, even though Blue Kane is enjoying a better time at the moment. Right, onto the low elo page, nothing you'll see there that's out of the ordinary. Again, Warwick is a notable mention, but these champions are performing especially well. You notice Sharko actually enters the fray just because turbo ability to 1v9 and basically punish all bad positioning, which happens a lot. Yi is really not in a great spot at all, but the lack of coordination means he can pop off in this particular range. Ramus really suffered from the HP growth nerf in terms of his ability to play the game in other elos, but don't worry, he's still good. You can still play him in Diamond. The effectiveness just is nowhere near as strong as it has been in this season. And finally, Nocturne makes an appearance, performing very well in a lot of MMRs. I think he's on the fringe, he's on the cusp of being able to be a top jungler, just isn't quite there yet, but the punishability and the strength of him in low elo is undeniable. And finally, the high elo overview, nothing really special about this. It is a lot of region relevant in terms of when you talk about these champions. Lilia in EU West, Nidalee in Korea. The ultimate nerfs to Lilia did affect her, but she's always floated around that, 46 to 48% win rate, and so nothing's really changed in that regard. Any buffs to camp experience is great for her, she loves to rinse clear. Graves is still very strong in high elo, not, in general, and certainly doesn't perform as well as he has done, but the champion is still actually kind of disgusting. Don't forget your Olaf's work, your Kindred's can work situationally, although not in the best spot whatsoever at all. Rengar is great for your one-trick ponies and enthusiast of cats. And there's a few other choices that work in specific servers, but overall these are the best performing ones. And there you have it, a little bit longer, but hopefully with enough information about the changes to the jungle over the past month, the addition of the buffs and nerfs. Hopefully we can see a few more changes to things like Hecarim and Udyr. Let's keep our eyes out. Do let me know what champions you are enjoying in solo queue at the moment. I'm happy the bear is back, my main champion along with Ornn and Zyra. Thank you very much for watching. Please do like, share, and comment if you enjoyed and maybe learned something. Head to the gameplay channel for detailed breakdowns of your favorite champions. And as always, I will see you all in the next tutorial.